Hello and welcome to a whole nother awesome review. Today I'll be reviewing the Leprechaun series on DVD. That's right, finally Leprechaun series has come to DVD. But I kind of wish it was on Blu-ray. Unfortunately, you can only get it on DVD. So let's talk about the DVD, shall we? Here's the Leprechaun series on DVD. Alright, so let's talk about it. Alright, well, this is a fantastic series. My favorite Leprechaun films have to be Leprechaun 1, Leprechaun 2, and Leprechaun Leprechaun 1, Leprechaun 2, Leprechaun in the Hood. Back to the Hood's not as good as the sequel. It's the last Leprechaun film. But Leprechaun in the Hood is awesome. It's got Ice-T in it. Leprechaun's all up being gangster. He raps and he's all like, yeah. You know, Leprechaun is in the hood, yo. You know, it's kind of like that, it's kind of like, you know that movie, Boys in the Hood, except if like a leprechaun was in it? It kind of reminds me of that. Yeah, that's a kick-ass movie. But anyways, let's talk about Leprechaun, shall we? So, Leprechaun stars Warwick Davis as the Leprechaun. You might remember him from Willow. He also played Willow. And he was in Star Wars as one of the Ewoks. So there you go, Warwick Davis. Kicking old school. You might also remember him from Harry Potter. So yeah. So let's talk about the Leprechaun, shall we? So my favorite Leprechaun films are 1, 2, and Leprechaun in the Hood, right? Now, I would say Leprechaun 2 is the best out of them all because Leprechaun 2 is the darkest, it's creepiest, and it's the most awesome. Now, I remember when I was a kid, the first Leprechaun film I actually saw was Leprechaun 2. And I remember watching that scene where that guy gets tricked and he thinks that he's looking at this really hot girl, but it's actually a fan, and then he dies. That is an awesome scene in the movie, by the way. So yeah, Leprechaun 2 kicks ass. So I had never seen Leprechaun 3, and I picked this up and I was like, oh man, I've seen all the Leprechaun films except Leprechaun 3. And I remember as a kid always wanting to rent Leprechaun 3. And it never actually being on TV. They just play Leprechaun 1 and 2, and they never would play 3 on TV. So I got this DVD collection. It was kind of like, oh my god, I'm going to see Leprechaun 3. So I finally watched Leprechaun 3, and it was kind of a letdown for me. It wasn't as good as the second one. It wasn't good as the first one. In fact, it's probably one of my least favorite Leprechaun films. But I would say the worst Leprechaun film of all has to be Leprechaun in Space. That movie has to be one of the worst movies ever made in history. It is a horrible film. It's like they tried to take Starship Troopers and mix it with Leprechaun, except it was like if like Starship Troopers weren't good, and then they like mixed it with like Outer Limits, except it was like if Outer Limits wasn't good. I mean, both those are really good, but imagine if they were really horrible. That's kind of like what this movie is. You know what I'm saying? It feels like a parody of Starship Troopers. And they even have a cross-dressing robot in Leprechaun in Space. What were they thinking? What a terrible film. And at the end of the movie, Leprechaun flips everybody off when he's in space, and that's what I feel like doing to people on that spacecraft. Don't tell me you didn't watch that movie and you weren't rooting for Leprechaun to win in that film. You know what I'm talking about? Because I was rooting for Leprechaun the whole time when I was watching Leprechaun in Space. I was like, I hope that Leprechaun just destroys all these people. And in all the other Leprechaun films, I'm always rooting for the other guy, you know. Leprechaun 1, I'm rooting for them. And Leprechaun 2, I'm rooting for them. But in Leprechaun Space, I'm rooting for the Leprechaun. What the hell? He's evil. I'm not supposed to root for him. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So anyways, and Leprechaun in the Hood is a really great film too. Leprechaun actually raps in that film. It is awesome. So anyways, let's talk about the transfer, shall we? This is the DVD collection. Let me tell you something. it doesn't come with any special features whatsoever. I mean, it's called Leprechaun Pot of Gore Collection, and it doesn't come with any special features whatsoever. There's no behind the scenes documentary, there's no makeup that tells you how they make the leprechaun. I can watch this stuff on YouTube and they couldn't even include it on the DVD collection. I mean, I picked this up for $21 and, you know, I got a really good price on it, you know, for 21 bucks. But still, no special features, and the transfers are horrible. I would rate the transfers of all the Leprechaun films a 5 out of 10, except for Leprechaun Back to the Hood. That film actually had a decent transfer. I would give it a 7 out of 10 for the transfer on that one. So would I say pick this up? Hell yeah, I would say pick this up. But unfortunately, if you're looking for good transfers and special features, then you're probably not going to like this film. But other than that, the DVDs are pretty great. So pick it up. You can get it for like 10 bucks or like 12 bucks, but for 20 bucks is a little pricey. So yeah, but I mean, you get a lot of films for what it's worth though. So I would definitely suggest picking it up. So I just want to show you guys the cover art on this. Yeah. Now I have a funny story about watching the Leprechaun films that I want to tell you guys about. These are all the original cover art from the 90s. So when I watched Leprechaun 2, I remember watching it on St. Patrick's Day. And my dad liked to watch, real Leprechaun films, with like Darby O'Gill and the little people and whatnot, you know what I'm saying? So here I am, a 10-year-old, watching this on TV, Leprechaun 2, and it's on, television on St. Patrick's Day, in the middle of the day, ironically, which is weird. So I'm watching it, and I remember my dad coming down and saying, "What the hell are you watching?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm watching the Leprechaun 2. It's about an evil leprechaun." And my dad looking at it and going, "Turn that crap off. Yeah. Whoever made that movie has to be an Englishman. Because no Irishman would make a movie about an evil leprechaun." And I remember my dad saying that, and it's so funny. Well, you see, I'm actually Irish. I'm Irish descent, of course, and I'm actually related to an Irish king. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So maybe one of the reasons why I actually like the Leprechaun is because I'm Irish, I'm Canadian, but my ancestors were Irish. And my favorite color is gold, ironically. And the Leprechaun is always trying to get his pot of gold. So it might have something to do with that, Maybe it's just something to do with my genes or something. Maybe that's why I like gold. I don't know. I don't know. I just always kind of like gold. And I always liked that the Leprechaun was always after getting his gold in the movies, That's what he wants. He wants his freaking pot of gold. That's what it's all about. But I have to admit, there's this one great scene on Leprechaun Back to the Hood that I do like. And the guy's like, "Oh, we gotta get silver bullets." And the guy's like, "No, he's not a werewolf. He's a leprechaun." It's so hilarious. So yeah, I would suggest picking this up. If you can get it for $10 or $11, it's definitely worth checking out. And Warwick Davis rocks, and they asked him recently if they would make another Leprechaun film, and he said it's all up to Lionsgate. So let's hope that Lionsgate actually greenlights another Leprechaun film, and then it gets, into production, because another Leprechaun movie would be awesome. So hopefully there'll be another Leprechaun film in the future. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and have a good night.